Hi, Online Developers Cohort. This week, I'd like to give you a little preview of what you're going to be learning. You have just completed the Start Here Learning module in the content areas. And now we're going to go into the regular learning modules. This particular week, we're going to be focusing on universal design. It's very important as you design your content for your students that you consider all of the best practices for creating accessible online documents. Any kind of documents that you might create in Word, PowerPoint, Excel spreadsheets, your multimedia, video clips and audio all need some special attention. What I'd like to do right now is take you into the learning module, and before I do, I want you to notice that on the outside of this particular learning module for Universal Design, I have given you an idea of some of the contents. Some of the contents might include, in this case, a lesson plan. It might include some activities. So I'm going to be teaching you how to set up these learning modules so that way it will look similar to what you're seeing right now, giving your students an idea of what is inside that learning module. So I'm going to click on this learning module so we can go inside. You might remember this particular design and functionality from the Getting Started learning module. And the first thing that we're going to do, and you're going to be creating this at some point, is you're going to be creating a lesson plan, or what we've called in the past as a overview document. It also serves as a landing page. For example, when you click into a learning module, the first thing that you might want your students to do is to participate in an assessment or a survey. That assessment or survey could just pop right out. So what I always recommend, and we will be doing this together, is that you create a static page that the students can look at and see what's going to be happening in this learning module for the week. Now, I'll be getting into learning modules a little bit more in the future, but one thing about a learning module, they can be broken down by topic, by subject, week by week. It doesn't necessarily have to be the way that I do it. You might be teaching your materials differently. In this case, I'm breaking down each topic week by week. We're going to be covering different topics when it comes to online teaching and learning. Now, I'm really excited about this particular lesson because I've learned a lot more about accessibility and universal design over the years. Here's one of the resources that I've used for many years and I wanted to share with you, and we will actually get some practice this week together. This particular resource is from Cal Poly, and this is best practices for creating accessible Office documents. That includes Word, PowerPoints, and Excel. Now, you might not have thought about this, but when you create your syllabus, it's really important to consider some of the document layouts. And I'm not just talking about the layouts for students that might have or have a need for adaptive technology. I'm talking about something that will benefit all students. So let's just take a look at some of those that might be benefiting all of our students. For example, when you have a document layout, it's important to keep lots of white space. It's also important that you make the hyperlinks descriptive, not just click here. And then you format the documents with high contrast. Black text on white is probably the best. Fonts that are size 12, in my case, I recommend 12 or larger. And then the sans serif fonts, such as Verdana, Arial, and Helvetica. Another part to this is that if we start with heading styles, you may or may not have had experience with heading styles. And I'm going to show you headings 1, 2, and 3. Those are the most common. If a student is using adaptive technology, such as a screen reader, the headings that we embed into our documents helps the screen reader to pause. For example, heading 1 is in most every document, the very first part of the document is heading 1, it only needs to be there once, then most of the time you use heading 2 and heading 3. A screen reader will come along, and if there's a heading, it will make a pause. If not, it's going to read something like this. Don't skip heading levels. In other words, don't jump from heading 1 to heading 3. It's going to read it very quickly, and it's not going to give any kind of indication when it might have changed to another paragraph or another sentence. Another aspect of accessible and universal design is the graphics and images we use. Probably the most important thing that I'm going to talk about is the alt text, providing a text to describe what the image is. In case we have an unsighted reader or student who is listening to adaptive technology, reading to them, and all of a sudden it comes to an image, and if it just says image1.png, that doesn't describe anything to the student. We're going to embed these text descriptions, such as this is a picture of a flower. That will be much more descriptive to your students. And what's interesting is that all students can benefit from this. A lot of times we use charts and graphs and images that students aren't really aware of what they are, what piece of artwork that you're actually going to be displaying. So it's really a good practice for all students. And tables. Tables are important. A lot of us use tables to organize and format information. If we do, that's fine. We just need to make sure we can read from left to right. That table will come across. It would have headings, and then the next time it would read from left to right. It would make sense. We need to just pay a little bit of attention to the formatting of the tables. Another thing we're going to be talking about is the slide layout. And I have to give you a little rule of thumb for Word and for PowerPoint. If you use the built-in design templates and layouts, you're pretty much going to stay within the best practices of universal design. So it's really important to just make sure that you stay within the guidelines, you use the text format, and you create alt tags. Now, what I always tell my students is that when you're creating documents, don't think you have to reinvent the wheel and bring all of your documents from 100 years ago and start to revamp all of them. What I really want you to do is take what you can and edit this, and we will do some of these practice exercises together where you will take a document. In fact, one of the exercises for this particular learning module is to either download the practice syllabus I have provided or to download one of your own or take one of your own and to actually apply some of these practices and accessibility techniques. There's a lot more to understand and to learn, but we're going to focus for this particular week the importance of Word documents, PowerPoint documents, and then also making sure that your multimedia either has a transcript or it is closed captioned. And there's a lot more ways for us to do this very easy these days, where before we had to painfully maybe edit some of the closed captioning ourselves or send it out, and it would take a while to get back. But now we have some easy ways that I'm going to be able to share with you. I'm really excited to share this lesson with you this week because there's so much to talk about. And I'll also talk about one of the simplest ways to make all your documents accessible to your students is to save in different formats. Let me give you an example. If you are a Mac user and you happen to have the Word program Pages, not everybody has Pages. If you saved your syllabus in the page format, not many of your students could open it unless they use Pages themselves. But what they can do is if you save that Pages as a PDF or an RTF, which you have the ability in most word processing programs, that becomes a universal file format. Anyone can open it. And that's what we like to do. DocX is another good example. Not everyone has the newest, latest, greatest Word version. If you save it as a PDF or you save it as an RTF, which is a rich text format, then anyone can open it, whether they have the new version of Word or not. So we'll be talking about some of these techniques and how easy it is to start right now when you are creating anything electronically, to just apply some simple techniques to make your documents and materials accessible not just to our students who need adaptive technology, but to all of our students. Thank you. I look forward to working with you.